Then there's a song called Rewind, which talks about like simpler times, or basically a time when you were not super conscious about every move that you make. So she says, sometimes I just want to rewind. I'd go back in the time to when I wasn't insecure, to analyze, to when I didn't overanalyze my face shape.
Oh, actually, weirdly, I was doing it as we were recording. I'm like, यार ये angle से नाक थोड़ा अजीब लग रहा है
Oh
यार.
shit.
यार I was literally doing this as we were recording. I'm still doing it, but yeah, man. I mean, like there was one particular point that you mentioned earlier that that went a bit amiss. That is, I think the point of, like, you mentioned that she was more interested in the output than in the response to the output. Like she didn't expect that it would be as huge, which also speaks to the need of I think I finally see a wave, at least in terms of the whole fuck it we ball. Like you just want to do it. And even with like the aesthetics of Brat, like you mentioned, the whole aesthetics of the album cover, they are pretty analog, they are pretty like it's pretty anti-design in some sense.
Correct.
And with that, what I see is there is a certain degree of walking away from perfectionism, and we are orienting ourselves more towards getting stuff done. It's like done is
Yeah.
better than perfect. So I see a very strong orientation towards that as well. Like where the outcome, like the very fact that you have an outcome, or the very fact that you did something, the very fact that you created or produced something, and you could be a vehicle for, or an outlet for that particular feeling or emotion that you wanted to convey, the very fact that you conveyed it is enough. And it like there is no need to dwell on how it could be more perfect, because that is a very futile endeavor in and of itself. But that could probably just me being unnecessarily philosophical about something that's probably not all that
Wait
deep.
until you see me expand on what you just said.
यार
I
मॉडर्न
literally
डे
noted down points because I was like,
सॉक्रेटिस
I
और
can't.
उसके बंधु हैं हम बस.
Um, yeah, so, well, again, as I said, why did this album resonate so much? Because every song like talks about something that we are together going through. So, well, with internet culture comes perfectionism up to a certain point. Again, what is perfect or like what is ideal is again like when cool people do something which you consider cool, that whatever that thing is becomes cool. And it's basically like you keep something next to cool, it becomes cool. Like it's not cool inherently, but it becomes cool.
Yeah,
ठीक
because
है?
like cool as a quotient of validation is something that comes externally and not necessarily is driven by an internal compass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be literally the stupidest thing, but if a considered cool person does that, it becomes cool. So first of all, this whole idea that you are doing something cool is or trendy, maybe what you're doing is probably absolutely stupid because there is no need for rules, and like the rules or like ideals of what is considered good or nice is a made up
It's
thing,
arbitrary.
and
Exactly.
it might as well be absolutely, I don't know, like stupid to be done. But anyways, like we with internet we do kind of go deeper into this thing of okay, what is cool, and we have access to, well, what the cool community is doing us together, and then you are basically you want to be part of it, right? And which again takes me to an entirely new topic also, which I would like to again mention here, Ki. Well, we are living in a postmodern world, right? Wherein, let's say, in a traditional world, there was religion, and then religion gives you ki ye karo, and that's how you basically justify. Okay, in a more traditional world, like people had religion, which basically tells them to okay, ye karo. That's how you basically make sense of this life, and that's how you justify, well, whatever you're doing in life. then, well, in the modern world, it's said that, okay, there was science, and then people looked at everything through that lens. And in the postmodern world, people basically don't entirely believe in both of these things.
Right.
So, obviously, I feel like these times are more existential than ever.
Oh, for sure.
So, I feel every, like, food, travel, music are in itself religions, you know. And let's say, for example, there's a person who, well, has this thing ki, okay, he's trying to probably make sense of his life by saying ki, okay, you know what, I want to see the world, मुझे पूरा दुनिया देखनी है. And maybe that's how I would kind of make sense of मैंने life में कुछ किया. ठीक है. I'm not saying ki, okay, what is good, what is bad here. I'm just like taking one example. It can be food for some people. It can be like, oh, you know, I like to try out different restaurants or something like that every weekend. And that food is something that they love, and that's something to think about every time. So let's say there's a person who, you know, follows some religion or other, not traditional religion, this new religion that I'm talking about. And, you know, there are people who basically become sort of leaders or people who basically talk about this religion, let's say. If they say something or they are doing something which, let's say, is considered cool, you are bound to do that thing because it's your religion. That's how you're making sense of this world.
Yeah.
So with internet culture, there comes this crazy impulsion to do it because it is your religion.
Right.
And if you don't do it, it's a big question mark as to what the fuck are you doing with your life. It goes that deep, I think.
It's basically, like you said, it's a religion adjacent. It's like there was a gap in our, let's say, lives that religion served for a while, and perhaps it didn't need to be rationalized to the point that it was rationalized, and dissected to the point it was dissected, or at least dissected in the direction it was. And now that we are here, we are like we are all like lost at sea, and we are very desperately grappling to whatever we can hold on to give us some sense of meaning, or to help us prolong life, or to help us just navigate life, because life in itself is it's inherently chaotic, and we need like I understand, like based on whatever I have read and what I have understood, I think I empathize with people who have a very, very strong religious belief or faith, because that is something that helps them navigate life. And what we adopt is not necessarily bad, it's religion adjacent. And it's interesting to see whatever is coming up, or whatever is the next religion adjacent, or how it's evolving at least. And when you see things happening collectively, it does to a great degree hint at the aspects that are happening, which are happening because of collective responsibility or collective irresponsibility. There's both. Like it's like you are a droplet of water, but you are in the sea, so you don't entirely control the wave. So you are part of the wave, but you are not the wave as well. So it's a very interesting phenomenon that I see, and I think it is a manifestation of, let's say, our collective sins of commission and omission, and not just sins. Let's not be as cynical in our outlook. It's also the collective, let's say, the good in some sense that is manifesting, which we end up calling the zeitgeist, or the spirit of time.
Yeah, so very, very true. And just to like take this discussion ahead, like I would say, the point I was basically getting at, if there's something cool that's happening, you do that, you adopt that, but well, you also feel that pressure that you have to do that or adopt that, right? And that pressure, a lot of times, is basically uncomfortable because you didn't really feel like doing it, but you have to make sense of things around you. And I feel there's that pressure. Firstly, I think we were referring to that song lyric, ki, okay, you were over analyzing everything. That also comes from this place ki, okay, there's this pressure to adopt new things constantly. Then there's also a change in terms of how you receive validation. It has gone very metrics and very ki likes kitne aaye, shares kitne aaye, comments kitne aaye, and you can't basically calculate the worth of something through that, because there are two things to any kind of stuff that you produce or put out. One is the internal journey that you have with it, and the second one, the journey it follows on its own when it's out there, right? And now more than ever, the journey that is following, that the work is following by itself once it produced out there, is not under your control. It is based on a very random algorithm, which basically is the luck by chance thing, and you would never understand the functioning of it. And basically, it keeps changing. So every time someone gets a hang of it, they change the algorithm such that there is always something new that's happening. They focus there. Sometimes they focus on pictures, sometimes they focus on reels. So you basically can't kind of figure out that entire thing, and then you are already seeking a lot of external validation. And then, well, let's say you do that cool thing, you put it out there, you don't receive external validation, then it makes you feel like more shit because some random algorithm didn't process it correctly, and it actually doesn't or can read everything that went into producing it. Which, yeah, so, well, kafi power you lose every time through it. And that is basically what gives rise to liking this Brat kind of direction, wherein you are now playing a I don't give a fuck war.
Yeah, yeah.
Wherein you are doing what you want to do. And that is it. That is how you basically gain satisfaction. The world is bigger than ever now. So whatever you try to do, you always feel that the impact is so less of it.
Oh, sure.
And that wanting to create an impact again stems from a deep-rooted sense of heroism.
And that
which
heroism is
thanks
also
to
socially planted, I think.
socially planted.
Yeah, like I mean,
And
would you really want to create an impact if someone didn't really tell you that you should create an impact?
yeah,
Like, would you really though?
does it really need to matter what you do?
Like, wouldn't you just like go out, go for a walk, look at the sun, touch some grass, and have whatever food you like, and just have a laugh with your friend and just go about your fucking day? Like Brat also makes me think about like Brat is a subculture, and then there is a counter culture as well. So I think Brat in some sense is very, like, it just makes me look at ideas from the sense that there are ideas, there are people who follow ideas, and there are people who reject ideas, and that rejection sometimes doesn't necessarily have to be a direct rejection. That rejection is just by adopting the exact opposite. Like around 2023, I think mid of 2023, my friends started talking to me significantly about trad wife, and Brat is very not trad wife.
oh, okay. What is trad wife? I don't exactly know.
Trad wife is the traditional wife, yeah.
Oh, okay, traditional. Okay, okay.
The trad wife trend that was going on around, and Nara Smith and whatnot. So yeah, I think when you look at Brat, I think it is like counterculture basically is like something that counters the culture broadly at large, is against the popular culture or the culture at large. But how I see it is, I like the context in which I used it at least may not go along with the traditional meaning and the general meaning and usage of the word, but the context in which I said it was more along the lines of countering another existing subset of values or a culture. that, like a subset of culture that already exists.